It's 4 days before Christmas. Northern Bank managers Kevin and Chris are driving to work just like any other Tuesday. But today, their families are being held at gunpoint. They must act completely normal, or their wives and children will be executed. The captors reveal the plan one piece at a time, using a single burner phone to maintain control. By keeping the men in the dark about the full scope of the heist, the gang ensures they have no chance to coordinate with authorities. At 4:30 p.m., Kevin tells the staff there is a balance error and sends them home early. At exactly 5 p.m., with the building empty, the two men use their authorization to unlock the heavy steel door to the underground cash center and step inside. Kevin leads Chris to a specific blind spot in the vault, positioned away from the reach of the 27 security cameras. Standing in the shadows, they begin sweeping stacks of cash into a large duffel bag. In 15 minutes, the bag is full. They've packed £1 million in high-denomination Northern banknotes. Chris slings the bag over his shoulder and walks out the front door. There are no security checks or codes to enter. He walks a few yards to a bus stop on Upper Queen Street, sets the bag down, and waits for a stranger to pick it up. Chris heads back to the bank, believing the ordeal is over and his family is safe. But as he approaches the entrance, the burner phone rings. A voice tells him to go back inside and take more. This initial £1 million drop served as a psychological compliance test. The captors needed to ensure the bank managers were broken and ready to follow instructions perfectly before they initiated the real operation. To extract the contents of the entire vault, the robbers shift the operation to the bank's rear entrance, an alleyway known as Bullion Bay. This restricted loading zone is the primary choke point for the bank's logistics. Security here is rigid. This diagram shows the bank's layout, where the only vehicles permitted through these rear gates are authorized transport vans driven by verified Securicor personnel. To bypass this physical perimeter, the robbers have Kevin and Chris perform a digital manipulation on 24 green cash boxes. They begin removing the metal security seals from each box and replacing them with white ones. In the bank's internal logic, a white seal reclassifies the box as waste paper. This simple change blinds the tracking software, allowing millions of pounds in cash to be moved through the facility as if it were trash. Instead of attacking the physical locks of the bank, the robbers used the managers to rewrite the internal data protocols, ensuring the system would ignore the money as it left the building. To get the cash out of the building, they have to bypass Billy, the security guard in the control room who is watching 27 separate camera feeds. Kevin uses his authority as a senior manager to override Billy's suspicion. He informs the guard that a waste collection van is scheduled for a late pickup and orders him to open the back gates. Soon, an unauthorized white van reverses down the alleyway until it is perfectly aligned with the bank's rear door. Under Billy's supervision, Kevin and Chris begin sliding the boxes into the van. To the guard, this is a routine disposal of waste paper. In exactly 7 minutes, they load £18.5 million in brand new cash into the vehicle and watch it drive away. The 27 security cameras recorded the entire process, but they provided no protection. Hierarchical authority acts as a human override. A security guard will rarely investigate an anomaly if their direct superior is the one authorizing it. The heist isn't finished. As the van pulls away, the robbers hand Chris a roll of black plastic trash bags and tell the managers they are returning for a third run. The calculated exploitation of seals and protocols in the previous stage now gives way to a frantic scramble. For the next 45 minutes, Kevin and Chris work to empty every remaining shelf in the vault. There is no time for careful packaging. They are shoving loose stacks of used banknotes, euros, and US dollars into flimsy black trash bags as fast as they can move. This chaotic final grab nets an additional £5.1 million. Kevin pushes a rolling cage filled with these loose trash bags straight toward Billy. There are no official waste seals or green boxes to hide behind this time, just thin plastic filled with millions. This is the ultimate bluff. If Billy looks inside the bags, the operation is over and the hostages will be executed. Billy does not check. He allows the final transfer to be completed, bringing the total stolen to £24.6 million. The most advanced security architecture in the world is useless if a criminal can exert complete control over the managers authorized to open the vault. The Northern Bank heist proves that human compliance is the ultimate vulnerability in any secure system. £26.5 million vanished from the Northern Bank. The thieves emptied the vault without triggering a single alarm, leaving no physical evidence behind. The case has remained unsolved for 2 decades. To understand how they succeeded, you have to look at the specific strategy the thieves used to reach the money. To pull off the largest bank vault heist in history, the perpetrators avoided attacking the bank's physical defenses entirely. Look at the scale of this heavy steel vault door. Bypassing the complex locking mechanisms to reach the main cash reserves required 2 separate keys, making a standard brute force break-in physically impossible. This diagram shows the bank's internal security protocol. The rules dictated that no single person could enter the vault alone, and the specific employees holding those keys rotated on a strict weekly schedule. By pure coincidence, the 2 key holders for this particular week were Chris Ward and Kevin McMullen. This made them the perfect targets for a tiger kidnapping. This is a specialized underworld tactic where criminals bypass physical security by taking a target's family hostage. Instead of demanding a ransom, they force the victim to commit the primary crime for them. The most effective way to defeat a multi-million-pound physical security system is to identify and exploit its human firewall. This map tracks the synchronized geography of the initial attack. West Belfast and County Down are separated by 20 miles, yet the kidnappers targeted both homes at the exact same time on the same night. At Kevin's house, the breach started with a knock at the door and a tragic lie. The men outside told him there had been a fatal family accident, and he needed to come with them immediately to identify the body. To sell the lie, the men arrived wearing these dark green uniforms of the police service of Northern Ireland. It was a convincing disguise designed to make Kevin step out of his house without hesitation. Meanwhile, Chris faced a totally different approach. He opened his door to a man claiming to be a fellow Celtic Football Club supporter, casually asking about tickets. By tailoring the entry to the targets, the initial breach relied on exploiting the specific psychological trust of each individual rather than using brute force. The moment Kevin stepped outside, a gun was pressed to the back of his head. Inside the house, his wife Karen was grabbed by the throat, forced to the ground, and blindfolded with heavy tape. Simultaneously at Chris's house, masked men stepped out of the shadows and aimed their weapons at his family, neutralizing his support system and forcing immediate compliance. Chris and Karen were forced into waiting vehicles. Kept blindfolded or forced to lie down, they were driven off into the night as the car pulled away. Isolating the victims sensorially and physically ensured the captors held complete leverage before they revealed their true demands. Back inside the houses, the remaining captors initiated a meticulous forensic cleaning protocol. They wiped down every surface they touched to ensure no physical fingerprints were left behind. Their communication was deeply unnerving. Only one man spoke, holding a knife. The rest coordinated their movements in silence, communicating through tongue clicks, whistles, or the jingling of change in their pockets. When the speaker finally laid out the plan, he revealed an overwhelming level of intelligence gathering. They already possessed exact blueprints of the bank's basement cash center. They knew the internal layout, the names of the employees, and the exact timing of the bank's internal security shift changes. This level of discipline and reconnaissance reveals a paramilitary-level organization executing a professional playbook. Chris sat isolated in a dark kitchen, his hands cable-tied behind his back, before both men were finally brought into a living room for the ultimate briefing. The captors delivered their ultimatum. Chris and Kevin were to walk into work the next morning and execute the robbery instructions word for word. If they failed, their families would be killed. To maintain contact over the next 24 hours, the men were handed 2 pre-programmed phones, distinctly engraved with a C for Chris and a K for Kevin. Accepting these phones finalized their roles as controlled proxy operatives. Phase 1 was complete. The multi-million-pound vault security system had been successfully dismantled from a living room couch, setting the stage for the employees to walk into work and execute the heist tomorrow. Once the final bag of cash, bringing the total to £5.1 million, was loaded into the back of a white van right in front of a security guard, one of the robbers simply looked up and said, "That's it, lads, you can go." And with that, the physical ordeal was over.
Without a word, bank managers Kevin McMullen and Chris Ward got into Kevin's car and drove straight to his house, sitting in total silence. They had no idea if the families they were driving home to were even still alive. At 8:10 p.m., Kevin finally picked up the phone to alert the PSNI, the Police Service of Northern Ireland, telling them he had just been forced to help rob the Northern Bank. But the dispatcher on the other end of the line already knew. A few minutes earlier, a young couple walking past the bank had noticed that white van parked outside. Following a gut feeling that something was wrong, they reported it to a passing traffic warden, who immediately called it in. By the time that civilian tip went through, however, the van was gone. £26.5 million had completely vanished from the bank. The robbers moved with such clinical precision that the crime scene yielded nothing for investigators to follow. The police were forced to launch the biggest manhunt in UK history from a position of absolute failure. Desperate to catch up, investigators launched an aggressive wave of nationwide raids. Armed police swept across Belfast, Dublin, and Cork looking for the missing currency. They did find cash in bizarre places. 3 men were caught at a Dublin train station with nearly €100,000 hidden inside a box of washing powder. A financial advisor in Cork had £2.3 million buried in compost. Another man was caught actively burning sterling banknotes in his backyard. Following these trails, the police rounded up known criminals and men with ties to the IRA and Sinn Féin, hoping to trace the operation back to an organized political faction. But while these raids swept up a handful of money launderers, they produced nothing useful for the heist itself. After interrogating the suspects, the police found absolutely zero evidence linking any of them to the Northern Bank robbery. The gang had been too meticulous. Before releasing the hostage families, they drove Kevin's wife deep into the Drumcura forest and locked her inside an abandoned cabin. Then they completely destroyed her car, scrubbing away any stray fibers or fingerprints that might have given the police a biological lead. By preemptively torching their own tracks, the robbers rendered the massive nationwide dragnet useless. The authorities were successfully arresting criminals, but they were entirely the wrong ones. With external leads drying up fast, the investigation turned inward. The military-like coordination of the crime led the police to a new hypothesis. An operation this smooth required help from the inside. They arrested Kevin McMullen. Because the robbers operated on a strict chain of command, and Kevin was one of only 2 people with actual access to the vault, he became their prime suspect. For a full year, Kevin sat in a jail cell. The man who had his wife abducted and his life threatened was now accused of planning the heist himself. But after 12 months of intense interrogations and deep dives into his finances, investigators came up with nothing. No suspicious bank transactions, no hidden phone calls. They had to let him walk free. So the police pivoted to Chris Ward. As the second key holder, Chris managed the staff schedule. Investigators fixated on the fact that he had scheduled himself and Kevin to work together on the day of the robbery. When they moved in to arrest Chris in November 2005, they used an overwhelming show of force. Heavily armored police units descended on his home. They even deployed a convoy of 25 Land Rovers to raid Casement Park, a Gaelic sports stadium where Chris worked a part-time job. It was a massive spectacle. But when the case finally went to trial in 2008, the prosecution's core argument fell apart. The bank officially confirmed that the staff schedule was a routine management decision, entirely out of Chris's hands. He was fully acquitted. Desperate for a win, the authorities had developed a brutal tunnel vision. Instead of catching the culprits, they spent years wrongfully prosecuting the men who had already been victimized by the heist. This chart highlights the final metrics of the multi-year investigation. Police executed 22 searches and made 13 arrests. Yet, as you can see, that effort yielded an absolute zero when it came to convictions for the actual robbery. The heist stood as a public humiliation for law enforcement. The robbers had systematically outmaneuvered the police at every turn, leaving the force with 0 suspects and a gaping hole in their credibility. The operation left behind deep, permanent scars. 2 innocent families were traumatized by their terrifying time held hostage, and £26.5 million dissolved into thin air. Decades later, the case remains completely open. The perpetrators executed their plan, erased their tracks, and slipped away undetected. They proved that even with the full weight of modern law enforcement hunting you down,
the perfect crime is still possible.